I'm your cult boyfriend. Today, we are talking about the greatest teen drama villains of all time. You don't know, but I've done that intro like 4 times. I feel stupid and I don't know why I feel dumb. What makes a good teen drama villain? What I believe is that in teen dramas, the villain ultimately becomes the savior of the piece, the hero of the piece in a large way. Teen television, soap opera style television, is founded upon betrayal and cheating and murder, sometimes, occasionally. Teen drama, by definition, needs its nourishment, and its nourishment is drama. And these 10 villains I'm going to talk very briefly about today provided every single show they were a part of with all of the drama it could ever ask for and more. And a lot of what we're going to be talking about today are postmodern television shows made in the late 90s to early 2010s. Through the villains, they were able to attack the framework of their own show and transcend the limitations of television, which makes these villains we're going to talk about unbelievably important and arguably more important than the heroes. There will be spoilers, but I will provide this video with chapters. So at the bottom of this video, right around there, right around this section here, you should be able to see different chapters. And to avoid spoilers, each chapter will just be the title of the show. And before I go into the next number, I will say the number and then the name of the show. And then if you haven't seen that show and you really want to see that show, skip that chapter because there are some spoilers with some of these villains. Some of these villains, you don't know they're villains. All right. I'm not going to be talking about everything that all of these different villains have done. It's not going to be an exhaustive video about teen drama villainy. If you're interested, go and watch my long, in depth analysis videos. I have plenty about all of these different shows where I go into all of these different characters. Go there. This is going to be just brief, just a list, everybody. Everyone else gets to make lists without putting much thought into it. I should get to do something thoughtless too every once in a while, guys. This is fun. This is a fun list. I just know I'm gonna end up over analyzing something. It's the Aquarius in me. I can't help it. Let's get into the fucking list. God. I'm gonna start with number 10 now. Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf. Everyone who hasn't watched it, fucking leave this part of the video. For real, this is actually a spoiler. Allison Argent in Teen Wolf is number 10. Specifically in Teen Wolf, the movie. Allison was a hero for the first 3 seasons. I thought she was a fascinating character. I have 2 videos about Allison Argent. One before she died in season 3, and one when she was resurrected for the film. Now, when she's resurrected for the film, that's where she becomes what I think is a startlingly effective villain. I think she represents the trauma of high school because the film deals with the our heroes older, dealing with the ghosts of their past, the ghosts of their dead friends, of their dead ex girlfriends, of the dead loves of their lives, of all the missed opportunities of high school, of those things that keep them up at night, the traumatic events of high school. When she's resurrected and she's kind of a mindless assassin, she is representative of past trauma, of the ghosts of your dead ex girlfriend. And I think that's really smart and I think that's really cool. And I think that gives you a lot of things to think about. So number 10, Allison Argent in Teen Wolf. My God, if we keep it this fast, this video might be under. I don't want to say any numbers. I know it's just going to be longer. If I keep it this fast, though, this quick, we can get through this video in record speed. Yes, 10 is Allison Argent, though. Beautiful villain. Crystal Reed was outrageously good in it. Like, she stole my heart, and I loved her for it. She was great, especially within the film. I loved her for the first 3 seasons of the show, too, and she represented some very interesting things there as well. And when she died, those things were weaponized. Those great and heroic parts of her were weaponized, just like how we are weaponized by our own trauma, and our trauma is against us, and we're weaponized against ourselves. Our psyche. Really cool. Number 9, Roswell. Yes. So when I cover these shows, I hardly ever look at what the fans are doing. or what the fans say. Like, I don't look at Reddit boards, I don't look at Twitter, I don't look for discourse online because I like to have my own kind of unique thoughts about it. I thought just watching Roswell in season two, where Tess really does her best work, I thought that she must be like a pretty appreciated character. No, she's like the most hated character in the whole series. I thought she was great. Thank you for getting rid of Alex. I'm joking. I'm joking. I didn't like the character, but God, it was tragic. She was great. She was excellent. In a postmodern sense, her character was very angry with both Max and Liz, these two star-crossed lovers who really shouldn't be in love, and she was warring with them for rejecting the narrative itself. And God, fucking Liz Parker. If I were, I should make a list of the greatest heroes, and like Liz Parker would be there too. She's the most complicated character on that entire show. I loved her, especially in season two. But Tess is underrated, and I really liked her as a villain on Roswell. Number nine, Tess. Number eight, Pretty Little Liars. Jenna Marshall is the only truly brilliant thing about Pretty Little Liars. She at least symbolizes every beautiful mechanic, every beautiful stylish motif that I Am Arlene King, the showrunner of Pretty Little Liars, was playing with and deconstructing and exploiting. Jenna Marshall is perfect. Whenever Jenna Marshall would enter a scene, right, would enter the frame, the genre would change. And this is most evident in the earlier seasons, where Jenna was really the true tool to do this. Whereas later on in Pretty Little Liars, it went kind of psychotic and just the show would change genres at a whim. With the first couple seasons, they needed Jenna to be that kind of transcendent postmodern tool. When she would enter a scene or a conversation, we'd suddenly be in a giallo kind of Dario Argento inspired film, or even like a Brian De Palma erotic thriller. We would be in a completely different world with her dark black sunglasses, her black gloves, the harsh lipstick, the dark black hair, the walking stick 'cause she was fucking blind. She was amazing. I loved her to death. I loved her to death. All the way till the end. And she was a less is more character. And Jenna Marshall was outrageously cool. I talk about her a lot in my Pretty Little Liars analysis videos, so go check those out. She symbolizes everything that worked, everything that was interesting or fascinating within Pretty Little Liars. Number seven, the OC. Logan Marshall Green as Trey Atwood. Trey's fantastic. Trey is excellent. Trey represents the darkest parts, the shadow archetype in a large way of not only Ryan, because that's obvious, but he also represents the most self-destructive desires of Marissa Cooper. It's because of him that we have one of the greatest musical moments in all of teen drama with what you say? And they like look at each other and stuff. It's fucking beautiful. It's great. It's poetry. Josh Schwartz, Stephanie Savage. We're gonna be talking about another one of their shows later, but Trey Atwood, it's so complicated. There are so many complex and dark and twisted and erotic scenes. Right through Trey Atwood, they did a lot of very cool stuff. And I feel like he was not simply a Dark Mirror universe version of both Ryan, what he could be, and also of Marissa, what she desires most, but also of Alex, Olivia Wilde's character from earlier on in season two. He was the inverse of a lot of what the OC stood for, where Ryan failed to challenge Newport Beach and the entitlement and the elitism of the place. Trey Atwood did exactly that. Trey Atwood challenged that and attacked that, and by doing so, challenged and attacked the framework as well. And it had to be Marissa Cooper who put him down. It had to be the show's princess, the ultimate insider of the OC, to put down the tyrant, the narrative tyrant, which was Trey Atwood. Brilliant character, brilliant performance. Wow. It made season two of the OC fucking masterful. Number six, The Vampire Diaries. Klaus Michelson. Klaus is out of control. Klaus is incredible. All right, season three of The Vampire Diaries I wish that I had filmed myself watching it because Klaus had me literally on the edge of my seat the entire time, like biting my nails, laughing maniacally with the crazy psychotic fuck, and going, "Oh my God, this is so fucking great!" Klaus is amazing. Watch my season 3 analysis video of The Vampire Diaries if you want to know why I think he's so amazing. That's basically entirely devoted to Klaus. Klaus is a wrecking ball. All right. Klaus challenged every single character in the Vampire Diaries and made them a lot more interesting than they previously were. He challenged the show itself and made the show so much better than it previously was. Klaus is extraordinary, all right? Klaus is amazing. I'm thrilled. That's an electric villain that I love to be around. Controversial statement. Spike from Buffy wishes he had the kind of swagger that fucking Klaus did, man. Spike wishes he had for a moment the aura that Klaus had. Klaus was unreal. Klaus was so good. That really is a Why would I say that? I love Spike. Love Spike, by the way. But Klaus is like fucking for real, dead ass dangerous, man. And so complex, so sophisticated, violently, ultra violently insecure. I've gone silent because I'm thinking back to him, the doorway, right? With the suit on, looking at his father, tears coming out of his eyes, and he's about to like massacre everybody, dude. He's about to commit patricide. It's insane, dude. It's and the energy, the homoerotic energy that he had and maintained with Stefan. It's so it's so interesting to engage with because he's rejecting the narrative, attacking the narrative. Klaus didn't just attack the narrative of the Vampire Diaries, he mutilated it in a really fun and sexy way too. It made you think a lot. Number 5. These are some Hall of Famers. These are some legends now. Number 5, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Season 3 of Buffy is one of the greatest seasons of television ever. Faith Lahane is a wonderful villain. I understand that a lot of people don't view her as a villain, but she absolutely was in season 3. And it's not demeaning to call Faith a villain. I understand she was rehabilitated later on, and I understand she was being used, but she was still an antagonist. She still provided so much drama, so much necessary drama and action to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Eliza Dushku was perfect. It's an absolutely perfect character, and through Faith, you're also able to have the same sort of contrast, the political contrast that was available with Trey Atwood in OC. We are able to severely interact with wealth disparity. She was abused. The way that I view Faith is as a metaphor for faith itself, the concept of faith in God in a ultra-modern, postmodern universe where God has been dead for years. When God dies, faith doesn't just die immediately as well. Faith continues to live on, and faith will attach itself to anything that provides it with a sense of divinity. And that's what the mayor did within season 3 of Buffy. Faith, the concept, and Faith, the young woman in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, will attach itself to anything, considering how abused it was by the original metaphor of God, and then how broken and abandoned Faith felt. But the concept and the character, when their father figure died, left them, left the human condition. There's a great deal of sophistication to Faith. So much. You should have been there, B. Quite a ride. Number 4, Be Still My Beating Heart. We have Abby Morgan from Dawson's Creek. Brilliant character. This is the definition to me of what a postmodern villain should be. Someone who directly challenges the narrative itself, speeds things up, makes things happen before they're ready to or supposed to happen traditionally, and also attacks the archetypes, attacks the characters themselves, and forces them to grow in ways that they weren't prepared to grow or didn't know they were capable of growing. That's what Abby Morgan does. She creates narratives, she creates purpose, she creates pathos, she creates integrity. She creates the show itself. She creates momentum. When Abby Morgan would target a character, you knew that that character would grow in an interesting way. You knew that that character would benefit from Abby's antagonism. That's what made Abby so special, so perfect. Such an interesting character within Kevin Williamson's postmodern narrative. Abby Morgan, such a unique troublemaker. I loved her. Monica Keena, all star fucking performance. You are a legend forever in my book, Monica. Number three, One Tree Hill. Dan Scott. Dan Scott is fascinating. He's so fucking funny and evil. Paul Johansson was beautiful in the role, and having Dan Scott as the show's primary villain provided the show with something that felt not simply classic, but and not ancient. That's not what I'm going for, but eternal. Right? Because this is like a story that has been told since the dawn of time. You know, the two brothers and the angry tyrant father. Only in the world of One Tree Hill, nothing is that simple. I'd also like to, since we're talking about One Tree Hill, Rachel Gatina was going to be an honorable mention. She was a great character on One Tree Hill as well. She did the same sorts of things that Abby Morgan did in Dawson's Creek, just not as well, or not as she wasn't as clever about it. That One Tree Hill is just not as clever as Dawson's Creek. She did a lot of the same sort of things that Valerie did on Beverly Hills 90210. Rachel Gatina deserves to be mentioned here. But Dan Scott, come on. Dan Scott is outrageously cool. Go watch my One Tree Hill analysis videos. I spend a lot of time with Dan. Um, Wow. The definition of a teen drama villain, Dan Scott. I love to watch him do the most evil shit ever. Number two, Gossip Girl. Gossip Girl is my favorite teen television show of all time. It's my favorite work of art ever made. All right, it's better than any film I've ever seen, any painting I've ever seen, any ballet I've ever watched, any piece of theater. It's better than any other television show. It's better than any book. Gossip Girl is the greatest work of art ever made. And Georgina Sparks is the best villain on the entire show, and number two on my own personal favorite villains of teen television. Georgina Sparks is a lot like Abby Morgan as well, follows the kind of template that Abby Morgan defined for our postmodern villain who targets certain characters in order to antagonize them into completing a character arc. And for Georgina Sparks in the first season, that was Serena Vanderwoodson. And it was incredible. She was incredible all throughout the entire show. Whenever she'd show up, you knew that a narrative was about to get going. And Gossip Girl is a show about how our lives aren't simply narrative. Our lives are gossip, and truth doesn't matter. Truth is just a quality within gossip itself, which may or may not be actually true. Our lives are narrative, and we're constantly making up our own narratives as we go along. You're no one until you're talked about, I think, is entirely true within the world of Gossip Girl. So when Gossip Girl uses their own postmodern villain, incorporates their own postmodern villain into a show that is hyper aware of its own making, of its own narrative, of narrative systems in general, then you know that that character is going to have a lot of complexities and a lot of different threads to play with and a lot of different labyrinths to start. You know, a lot of different labyrinths to throw the unsuspecting main characters into. And that's what Georgina Sparks did. And Michelle Trachtenberg is unbelievably rocking, dude. I love her to death in the role of Georgina Sparks. An absolute titan within the teen drama like pantheon. Like she's a titan. She's so fucking great. Every time Georgina Sparks appears, something masterful is about to occur. She is electrifying. She's a stunner, and she's incredibly engaging to watch. In Gossip Girl, things are inversed a lot of Gossip Girl is so complex. Go watch my Gossip Girl analysis videos because I'm about to lose myself in a 30-minute fucking diatribe, apparently, because where I was going to go with that innocent sounding sentence was like. Was like inversing narrative systems, which makes Georgina Sparks the only like forward moving object in a backward universe of narratives. Oh my god, that's insane. She's incredible. Georgina Sparks fucking rules. I love her. Number one, Veronica Mars. Veronica Mars. Cassidy, Beaver, Casablancas. That's the number one spot. Season two of Veronica Mars is my favorite season of the television show, and it's a masterpiece. It's, to me, pretty fucking close to flawless teen television. And Beaver is the villain of the entire piece. He is a mad bomber. He is a mass killer. There's so much to go in. Like, even if I just described the motive, right, I would be here for 5 minutes describing why he did it. Because a show like Veronica Mars, which is a neo noir, what made Veronica Mars so interesting was because it was released, I think it started in '04. And it was the first show that really felt like it was post 9/11 and post Columbine. And it gave us a world where you cannot trust parental figures, you cannot trust your government, you cannot trust your friends, you cannot trust education, politics, anything. Because everything was kind of dangerous, everything was like a neo-noir, everything was a shade of gray. And also it was one of the first teen shows to have a lot to say about surveillance, the surveillance of youth, the surveillance of narrative itself, which is something that Gossip Girl would perfect in a few more years later. But within Veronica Mars, we get to do a lot of cool things about the anxieties of millennials that millennials were facing in the mid to late 2000s. And and Beaver is a really interesting character that's representative of the desperate psychotic self-destruction that a lot of young guys, a lot of young kids were expressing, were enacting, were feeling. And Kyle Gallner, who played him, who has gone on to have a really cool career, played him so well. The best scene in Veronica Mars, and possibly one of the 10 greatest scenes in all of teen drama, is when he is found, when he reveals himself, when he and Veronica have their shouting match on the roof of the Neptune Grand. Oh my god, it's probably the greatest death in teen television. When he's standing on the ledge, uh, he's clearly about to jump because the kid is suicidal, right? Because that's the secret. Every kid who wants to kill all of their friends really wants to kill themselves most of all. He's standing on the ledge and he's looking down, and he's just admitted to a lot of things like violating Veronica in the worst possible way. And Logan is there as well at this point, and Logan goes, "Cassidy, don't don't jump." And Cassidy turns and says, no, he doesn't say Cassidy. I'm sorry, because the scene doesn't work if he said fucking Cassidy. Now would it? Logan says, "Beaver, don't do it." And he turns and says, "My name is Cassidy." And he's like, "Give me one reason not to jump. Like, why shouldn't I jump?" And Logan's speechless. And then, with the perfect facial expression of disassociation, of violent insanity, Cassidy jumps back from the ledge in a move quite similar to that of a dancer almost. Like, everything was choreographed. Like, the harrowing destruction of at-risk youth has been choreographed by higher powers, by puppet masters that we don't get to see, and he jumps back and kills himself. And even the name Beaver, like everything, and his older brother being Dick, Dick and Beaver, Dick and Pussy, like everything about this kid has been emasculated. He was ridiculed to no end. And he was a genius at the same time, a financial genius. My God. Okay, I can't go into all of it. I can't. Go watch my Veronica Mars season 2 analysis video because there's a lot to go into with Beaver. There's a reason he's number 1 on this list, and it's because he's the most disturbed, he's the most damaged, and he's the most scary to actually interact with as a viewer. As someone like me who analyzes these characters, inhabiting Cassidy Casablanca's mind, his psyche is scary. Uh, Rob Thomas, the showrunner of Veronica Mars, and Kyle Gallner, who performed the character, they did it so well. Uh, he's a nightmarish character, and he's so pathetic. How pathetic he was might be the most tragic and terrifying thing about the kid. I love the character. Number 1, Cassidy Beaver Casablancas. Well, there you have it. Well, there you have it. I think I made this video longer than I wanted it to be, trying to make content that could be a slightly more digestible, but I can't do that. I can't shut the fuck up. Like I said earlier, I can't. I overanalyze everything. I get carried away, but I'm really passionate about these things. Let me know who some of your favorite teen drama villains are. Do we have any in common? Like, let me know. Do we have anything, any similarities? Or do you think I missed a couple? Let me know. Let me know. Thank you so much for watching me. I'm your cult boyfriend. My name's Zach. Peace.